Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Can you hear me? Hello. Okay. Thank you. Izudin? Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for your response. Thank you, Wei Yin, Liu, Alif, Imran. Yeah. All right. Today we are gathered here again for this week. We're going to talk about very common topic, I would say. It is procrastination. Even though it is very well-known topic, everybody has gone through some sort of procrastination in their journey. But still, it is very prevalent. It is still, we still very much, we know the consequences of it, the causes of it, but sometimes it just becomes out of our control. So, uh, so that's the reason why it is a good, I think this uh, episode of Lighthouse will be a good reminder for us about, some details and how we can, first of all, we know the consequences of it, then we will know what is the causes of it and how we can overcome it. All right. Thank you again for joining us for this Lighthouse for this week. Right. So yes, the goals for this for today would be knowing the consequences of procrastination, the factors that cause procrastination, strategies to overcome procrastination. Okay. Before I continue, I want to uh, give you a little bit a definition on procrastination so that we all are clear what we mean by procrastination. Okay, it is avoidance of doing a task that needs to be accomplished by a certain deadline. Okay, it has to be the one factor that must be involved is a certain task and with a deadline. A habitual or intentional delay of starting or finishing a task despite knowing it might have negative consequences. Okay, it is common for us to delay certain tasks in everyday chores. It is common, but it becomes chronic procrastination and could associate with feelings of very low self-esteem feelings, inadequacy in ourselves, and also the society around us might have uh, distorted uh, a perception on us, and also for our own interpersonal we might feel depressed, low self-esteem, and feelings of guilt, okay, and also lack in adequacy. All right, so this is the basic definition of procrastination. This definition I got it from my lectures in the past. So that's the reference for it. All right, let me move on. Okay, let's see the consequences. The consequences of procrastination, it gives you more stress. It increases our stress level because when we don't do our task, then automatically we become restless, and we know we are obligated to do something, a task, complete it, but we don't. Lower grades, yeah. When we do things in the last minute, very minimal time, then we end up having lower grades, and we may have to repeat semester. That is something of disastrous. Nobody wants to do that. We want to try our best to uh, try as best as we can not to repeat semester. It's a lost opportunity. Yes, we might lose opportunity for something, and then career troubles. Yeah, we might not be able to perform as well because we already have this habitual kind of procrastination. Extra costs, expenses, we got to pay the fees, and of course it also gives mental health and physical problems. We may have feelings of aches and pains and headaches and all. Resentment from others, others might feel disgust with what, with our habits, and it also destroys teamwork. All right. So, just to share a little bit, in my own personal life, uh, I too do procrastinate from time to time, especially when it comes to house chores. Sometimes it's just I'm too tired, or just basic laziness. I will put off cleaning, or doing some house chores to a later time, and at times it can become accumulated. One of the easiest thing, and it really needs a push for me to do it, is like folding clothes. The more I procrastinate, the more clothes increases. So this is my personal experience on procrastination. Okay, let me move on. Okay, the causes of procrastination. So we're going to look at what are some of the causes, and what things do you say to yourself. What do we say when we procrastinate? Okay, rationalizations. Ignorance. I did not know I supposed to do that. Yeah, yeah. I'm sure some of you could recall. We would have said this at any point in our lives. When we say, "Oh, just to sort of an escape," we say, "I do not know I supposed to do it." And then skills deficiency. I did not know how to do it. Yes, probably we didn't put any effort to read about it, or ask more questions about it to our lecturers, or read the course outline, and we just simply ignored all the time, and finally then we say we did not know how to do it. Apathy. I really don't want to do this. We don't, it's just not in our interest. It really does not make any difference if I put this off. Okay, no one really cares if I do this or not. Sometimes we just feel that nobody is watching us, so we can do and go away with whatever we want to do. All right. And the next is fixed habits. Yes, we have some fixed, but I have always done it this way, and it is hard to change. This is how this I need to sleep for 10 hours a day. So I don't have enough time to do my assignment. So I need to have that sleep. So I rather sleep than sacrifice that time. I know I can put this out at last minute. All right, we feel so we feel so confident that we can do it at the last minute. We don't need to start early. Right, I work better under pressure. This is something very common nowadays. People feel that, you know some people, not generally, but just maybe few people, they think that they work better under pressure. Right, there are this kind of people. So they feel that the more pressure they are in, they perform better, they have better results, better achievement, they can meet their targets. Then I can listen to the recorded lectures nearer to exam. Oh, this is so common. Like we think that we don't want to go for the face-to-face class, then we say we'll listen to the online recording. And when it's near to the exam, then there is just like too many recordings and we just haven't gone through any, and it takes time, right? Each recording takes about 3 hours. So how are we going to fulfill that? How are we going to stick sitting on our chair listening to at least 5 lectures? It takes about 15 hours, right? So I can't just seem to get started. That's another thing, right? We just don't have that enthusiasm to get it started. Okay, let's see the next. All right, frail memory. This is something common. I've just forgot. I think as children, during our primary school, I think usually we use this type of reasons. I forgot to do my homework. Yeah. And physical problems. Now, this is I could not do it because I was sick. I was, stomach ache, having headache, all these reasons. Appropriate delays. I am just waiting for the best time to do it. We are always looking for the best time. When is the best time for us to? We think that tomorrow, today evening, and then, oh, never mind, I'll do it tomorrow. That will be better. Those kind of reasons we say to ourselves. I need time to think this through. Sometimes we think that we can do things better when we plan, and then we have the entire layout, and then we keep on thinking how we're going to do this, the first part, the introduction, and then how we're going to do the contents of it, and then the summary, and then we're just thinking and thinking, but we never put anything on paper, right? So that is another reason. The other opportunity will never come again, so I can't pass it up, right? So they don't want to sacrifice. Probably there is one concert happening and we just need to go for that concert. That is, we were waiting for this particular celebrity come to Malaysia, and we just cannot let go. We need to be there, right? So we just cannot give up, right? So these are some of the reasons. So yeah, now we are going to move on. We're going to see how the ways to overcome procrastination. All right. Okay. Here, we need to know for procrastination, we need to learn to delay gratification. Okay. What is gratification? It's like meeting our inner, our desired things, what we desire to do. So let's say this is for instance, I took this video. It's a very simple video. It is actually the marshmallow test. This is a very famous, very popular test that was done among children, small children. They were given some marshmallow. It's like a sweet stuff, as a candy. And then so they were given one candy, and they were told that if they wait for another few more minutes, then they would, if they don't eat the marshmallow, then they would be given 2. See, so that's how we see what is their tenacity, how's their strength in waiting and to cope with that, by just watching the marshmallow, not eating it, and how they regulate the self-control. Okay, so I've actually tried to download this video, so I'm going to try to play it for you.
Okay, sit in that chair. All right, here's the deal. Marshmallow for you. You can either wait, and I'll give you another one if you wait, or you can eat it now. When I come back, I'll give you another one, so then you'll have 2. But stay in here and stay in the chair till I come back, okay? All right. I'm gonna go do something and then I'll come back.
It smells yummy. It smells really good.
All right, so it's up to you. You can have it now or you can wait. Okay? I'll be back. Stay in the chair, okay? Okay. All right, so I'm gonna leave and then I'll come back, okay? So you can either eat it right now or you can wait. Either way, okay? Okay. How'd you do? Did you do good? You did?
Yeah.
You wanted to eat it, didn't you? Yeah. So did I tell you to give you another one? Okay, now you can have both. You need them.
So we are back. So did you see how they did the research to uh, to to find out on the time limit and how much they have this to delay their gratification to to eat that marshmallow. All right. So it is like that for us. So when we are doing when we are procrastinating, and then in order to for us to regulate our habits, probably we try to delay our gratification, like we want to go out for with friends or we want to have a good sleep, but we delay by doing what we need to do first. All right. So that is the this is a research, a very famous research, and the story behind the research. All right, let's move on. All right, so this one is a graph. It's showing, you see, the stress level is high. Can you see that? And then, so they are chilling all the way to the end of the semester. All right, and then that's where it goes right up the graph, the freaking out. Oh, I have to submit this assignment in tomorrow or by midnight, 12 midnight today. Oh my. So how are we going? No, that where it goes all haywire. All right. So it is the pleasure principle is the responsible for procrastination. Okay, this is the psychological perspective. The principle is wanting to meet that instant gratification. All right, let's like the kids does now. It is the pleasure that they get from indulging in the sweet. So one may prefer to avoid negative emotions by delaying the stressful task. All right. So they delay, they chill out because they want to avoid that stress, feeling that stress. And then the idea they feel more stress as the deadline is closer. So they decide to procrastinate more to avoid the stress, and they seek more pleasurable distractions, which acts as coping mechanism for the anxiety that comes associated with the coming deadline. Okay, so is wanting to delay things is sort of also an impulsivity, yeah, to because impulsively you just uh, enjoy that time, that chilling time, and then until you really come to that end, that where the deadline comes, right? Okay, coping. So how do we cope? Okay, mainly we cope procrastination. We cope by negative coping. It's like maladaptive coping, where uh, you cope in ways that is unhelpful for you, right? What are the ways? Number one is avoidance. We avoid that particular task. We probably sometimes the location or the situation, we avoid going to class, we avoid going to the university, because when you go there you remember, and then you feel your stress level going up. So you just stay back in your hostel and chill out, right? So avoidance of the place that reminds you of that you need to do your work. Denial, trivialization, pretending that procrastinatory behavior is not actually procrastinating, but rather a task which is more important than the avoided one, or that the essential task that should be done is not immediate importance. Okay, here is, if you probably have your deadline there, but you feel that uh, it is good for you to go and play some games or play some video games with your friends. It gives you some pleasure, so something like that. So you feel that, oh, I think I rather spend some time with friends because I need to chill out, no, I need to relax, kind of thing. The third one is distraction, engaging or immersing in other behaviors or actions to prevent awareness of the task. As what just now I said, like web browsing. We just keep on browsing things. We keep on looking at things, and uh, reading some reviews about your favorite programs or video games, those kind of things. Even even sports game, you read a lot of review, you watch what are the latest comments about this team and that team and all that. Okay, instant gratification becomes key and becomes absorbed in coping behaviors beyond self-restraint. All right, what is simply means that we want to instantly gratify our gratification for to avoid from the feeling that stress. Okay, we just don't want to feel that stress, so we instantly substitute it with some of our favorite activities, like watching a video or watching a YouTube, something like that. Descending counterfactuality is comparing consequences of one's procrastinatory behavior with others' worst situations. Example: yes, I procrastinated and got a B in the course. Yeah. So, but the other students did worse than me. All right. So they justify themselves. Yes, I did procrastinate. I did do at the last minute, but I still got a B. You see. So I am actually better than the other students. They did everything, and they still got a C or a D. So I'm so much better. You see, that's how they descending counterfactuality. Yeah, that's this a term for it. All right, this is more of the behaviors and practices that enable procrastination. Okay, these are some of the terms. The first one is valorization, is pointing in satisfaction to what one achieved in the meantime, while one should have been doing something else. Like you see the picture. So he's supposed to do. His friend is saying, "Hey, why aren't you spending some time doing your assignment?" And he says if he feels that it is gratifying for him to be doing that balancing act, trying to carry that bottle on his nose. See, so he's doing something absolutely is unnecessary, instead of focusing in his assignment, and he feels that what he's doing is something good for him. So this behavior is known as valorization. Okay. Second one is blaming. Delusional attributions to external factors, such as rationalizing that the procrastination is due to external forces beyond one's control. So I'm not procrastinating, but this work is too difficult for me, or the lecturer gave a work that's beyond my ability, something like that. You give a reason why you procrastinating. You say it's just too beyond your ability. It's just too tough. It's too complicated. Too much of work. You need to do too many research. You need to read 20 journals to answer that question, that kind of thing. All right. The third reason is mocking. Using humor to validate one's procrastination. The person uses slapstick or slipshod method to criticize and ridicule others' striving. You see, you join in like in a group, and then you see one person there who's not in your group, who's trying to do their best, and you start to mock. Hey, you are spending too much. You are spending time like a hero. You feel heroic about that. So that kind of thing. So you start to mock others who are trying to do something about it. And the fourth one is called acrasia. So it is actually simply means inability to follow through with problem solving. You just cannot to solve your problem. It is this is another term they use for this. Okay. Okay, this is another very common reason. This is normal perfectionism and neurotic perfectionism. Perfectionism. Okay, sometimes when we procrastinate because we want to be our work to be perfect. We want every full stop, every word is the right word. The vocabulary in the article, it has to be the right. Use the right synonym, or you do your paraphrasing perfectly, and you want to do a real uh, eye-catching introduction. So you spend a lot of time on that, like perfecting your writing. You make it when you just want the lecturer to say, oh wow, you have done a perfect way, not knowing that you're spending too much of time for that. And sometimes, in my experience, the marks that you get, if you are getting 5 marks, and then you spend so much of time with the perfect work, the maximum you're going to get is 5 marks, right? So uh, it is better for you to have a balance, okay? And not sometimes it is just too time consuming when you want to do the most perfect thing. With sometimes arts is another one also, artistic things, like art, drawing, and some some projects where you want it to be so perfect, so you spend time in every detail. So when you spend time in detail and going deeper and in detail, so you tend to forget that your time is running out. So this also can happen in exams. You just focus on one question, and that you don't have enough time to do the rest. So these are some of the the reasons. Perfectionism is one of the reasons for procrastination. And if you are a normal perfectionist, it's fine. If you know where your limit, where is the boundary, where you're going to stop. But neurotic perfectionism is evidenced by an intense need to avoid failure. So you just cannot uh, fail, or you just cannot get 9 over 10, or 9.5 over 10. You just feel, oh, that's not good enough. So individuals struggling with neurotic perfectionism do not derive pleasure from a job well done. So even if you get 9.5, they're not happy. They should get 10 by 10. So that is neurotic perfectionism. All right. Okay, now this is a table where this has got quadrants. Okay, overcoming procrastination, prioritization. This is one of the ways that you can prioritize your work. So if you see down here, there is two rows. One is not important, one is important. Then the column here, urgent and not urgent. Okay, so what you have to do when you want to organize, this is one way you can do. So all you have to do is just draw two columns, two rows, and then one you put urgent, one not urgent. The other one, that one row is not important, one is important. So what you do, you group all your the deadlines and the emergencies, the things that you got to do it in this quadrant. The first one, important and urgent. Okay, and then the quadrant next to that, so that one is, it is important but it's not urgent. Okay, like things that are coming up in the future that will become urgent if not addressed, so you can put all those things on this quadrant. And then the quadrant below, urgent not important, it are the interruptions. If you think that those some things that is not so important for you, you can put it here. Like maybe you can delay it later on, like going it's not important and but it is urgent. Maybe like your year end, probably like your year end project where you have at least about 6 months time, so you have time to work on it, so you don't have to look at it now in within this 1 week or 2 weeks time. So things like that you can put it here. Then the last column is not important, not urgent, time wasters. You can put in there, like you maybe you plan to watch a game with your friend, so it is not urgent and it's not important for now, so you can put it here. So at least you have you organize your activities, and whatever your plan, your time management, you can and just you can sort it out this way, and from here you can see what is the most important that you need to do, and you can focus on that. Then when you have that, when you are done with this, then you can move to the next one. So okay, what is that? So you can move it to, if it's the deadline, then you can move it, otherwise you can put it up. So once you're done with rotating all this, then you'll have more time for your pleasurable things, that you want to go for a movie or you want to meet up a friend or whatever. You can do it when all these things are empty, right? Okay, another technique is it is called the Parkinson's law. All right, this one, work expands to fill the time allotted. For example, you are given 2 weeks to do an assignment. Instead of taking the whole of 2 weeks, try to set a deadline that is difficult to meet and reward yourself for getting it done. Okay, for instance, if your lecturer, they gave you some work to do and tell you to submit within 2 weeks. So you set a deadline for yourself. You say, okay, I am going to do it in 10 days. So out of that, you have 4 days that you can enjoy, right? So you submit it early by the 10th day. So then you can enjoy the last 4 days. So this is how you can reward yourself, something like this. All right. This is called the Parkinson's law. Okay, this is a caption where it says, right, implementation intention, what, when, where. Okay, what you need to do, when you need to do it, and where do you need to be, or where you need to be on that certain for that. So 8 times more likely to do it. Okay, once you have figured out what, when, and where. Okay, and so it is 8 times, you see the intensity, the times that it is most likely that you will complete the task. So this one is a citation by Owens, Bowman, and Dill in 2008. All right, this is another citation by Mihaly. So of all the virtues we can learn, no trait is more useful, more essential for survival, and more likely to improve the quality of life than the ability to transform adversity into an enjoyable challenge. Yeah. So here, what are the some of the, he says, the virtues we can learn, and no trait is more useful, more essential for survival, and more likely to improve the quality of life than the ability to transform adversity into an enjoyable challenge. Yeah. So whatever that uh, difficult task that is handed over to you, um, you look at it and you feel that, wow, this is so overwhelming for you. You just feel that you will never be able to achieve this. It looks so tough, so difficult, and you just lost, in, you just feel that it looks like I can't do this. So many things, all kind of thoughts will come to you. But it's just that, take time, read it part by part, and then break it down. And when you break your task into small sections, when you organize yourself in way where you break that task, that one big chunk of task, you break it in small sections. So you strategize, you put your what you call, it is called this timeline, and it's even known as gun chart. If you have a gun chart, then you plan yourself, you break it down little, from step by step. Then when you get organized, then when you see a small, instead of seeing a one big chunk of work, you break it into small tasks. When you break it in small tasks, it make it look easier for you. It looks more achievable. So that's where you'll also find some motivation. Oh, it just takes about 10 minutes, okay, I can do this. Yeah. So it makes you feel more confident, and uh, and give you some energy, or give you the boost to do it. Okay, I will do this in 10 minutes, then I can sleep for half an hour, something like that. Okay. All right. Okay, this technique is called the Pomodoro technique, where you set a goal for the work, right? You set timer for 25 minutes, okay? So within that 25 minutes, you do as much as possible. That 25 minutes, you sit down and you do your research or your introduction, you do it that, you write it in 25 minutes, and then you set timer again for 5 minutes, you take a break, go for a drink, uh, watch outside of your window, look at some greens, or you can just walk around your house, go and do some chores, like that. And then you repeat, then you set a new goal. You sit for another 25 minutes, right? So take 1 hour break after 4 cycles. So every 25 minutes you take 5 minutes break, right? So 25 minutes, 5 minutes break, 25 minutes, 5 minutes break, 25 minutes, 5 minutes break, and 25 minutes, another 5 minutes. And then you get 1 hour break, right? So then you'll be like, okay, I have the rest, now I can do it. So now your body, your mind is rested. So when you sit down to look at the assignment again, so you'll be much more, you look at it in a much more, fresh. You'll be more fresh to do it, instead of um, doing everything in one chunk, like 3 hours directly you work. When you work 3 hours directly without rest, then probably your output will not be as good, because you are physically tired, right? All right. Okay, these are 10 ways to do it now. All right. So, a rational self-talk metacognition. Wow, what's a big word there? Metacognition. All right. It is simple. You just talk to yourself. You say to, I can do it. Very simple though. I think the I can do it is very popular now. Yeah. You just say to yourself, I know it is a little bit more. You just push it. Okay, just another 5 more minutes. All right. That will be more motivating for you, instead of, oh gosh, I got another 1 hour of work to do. Instead of saying like that, or you can say, oh, this is a small step, I can do it in 15 minutes time. Yeah. So it gives you feed the positivity to yourself. All right, like the second one is positive self statements, like the same thing, instead of saying I'm stupid, I can't do this, it's just too difficult, all kind of negative. The more negative you mention to yourself, the more you become less motivated to do things. So this is quite well known. Positivity, increases our feel good sense, and gives us more confidence. Okay, avoid catastrophizing. Yeah, that's the one. Like, it's just too big of a task, I cannot do it, like that. Design clear goals, right? So that's what it says, like clear goals. Okay, I'm going to sit like the Pomodoro technique just now. Okay, you clear, okay, 25 minutes, 5 minutes break, 25 minutes, 5 minutes break, like that. Or you clear, okay, I'm going to write the introduction today. All right, and how many sections I'm going to write, sit down today and do the introduction, then I'm going to move on to the contents, like that. Maybe tomorrow I will do the contents, like that. So design clear goals. So that's where the your planning is very important, in order for you to get on to do your work. Um, when assignment writing or any other activities you are involved, so have clear a clear goal, a clear direction. Goals can be short-term goal, long-term goal. So have that, sit down and take time to plan your goals. Yeah, it's very helpful. I've seen it in my life. Once you have that goal, it's easier for you to move on. All right, set priorities. That's where the just now when we saw the quadrant from the first, the one, the urgent and what is not urgent. All right, so that one, that would be helpful. Okay, that slide where I showed you just now. Okay, this one, the prioritization, this quadrant is very helpful. So you put urgent, not urgent, not important, important. So you, and then you organize yourself. Okay, and break it down. Just what I said, mentioned just now, you break it down. Every assignment, the task that you receive, you break it down into small tasks. All right, and get organized. Got organized meaning time management is involved. Your time is not to say you deprive yourself from all the pleasurable activities that, or your hobbies or your interest. Does not mean that you have to take all of that and, just park it at the side. No life after this kind of thing. It's not like that. You can enjoy what you please, right? What gives you pleasure. It's just that you need to reduce it or sacrifice a little bit of time. If you spend time scrolling on your scrolling on your so I mean on your handphone, then maybe you spend about 3 hours a day. Probably you can do it like 2 hours, and 1 hour you put it for your assignment or your whatever other activities that you have, or simply reading a book. If you think that you need to read some journals or some books, maybe you can spend about 1 hour from that scrolling time. Okay, and then use prompts. Yeah, use prompts. You write it down, you can stick it in your room. This is very helpful. Or you can set alarm, and just set alarm for yourself. Just put that, get up, do something, drink water. Sometimes we even procrastinate even in drinking water. We say, okay, I'll do it later, I'll drink it later. Just too busy with being online or doing our work that we didn't get up and go and refresh ourselves. So yeah, you can set alarm or use prompts, in your room or wherever your study area is. And don't forget to reward yourself. Okay, reinforcements work, right? So what do you mean by reward yourself? Yeah, that's where remember the delayed gratification video. Yeah, so at the end of every assignment that you complete, or your semester, when you complete your semester, when you go for your holiday, it is good for you to reward yourself with a good rest. Yeah, you need a good rest. So our mind needs, our brains need we need to sleep well. We need to, maybe we have probably a lack in sleep because of our assignments and all that. So you need to gain back all that sleep. um, probably you've not been eating well, so it's a good time for you to spend some time to prepare your own food, some healthy food, and and eat that. And also social circles. Sometimes when we are busy with our assignments, we just ignore everything. We just ignore all our friends or relatives or even our own parents. We just don't spend talking to them. And so that becomes, and it's also becomes, increases the stress, right, for us. So it is part of rewarding yourself. All right. It is rewarding your psychologically for you, right? So that is important. Besides that, all your favorite activities, you can go ahead and do it. Yeah. So that's mainly my sharing today. And yeah, this is the all the counselors who are in student and guidance unit in unit 10. So you can always contact us if you want to know further and you want to explore further. If you have these tendencies of what I've mentioned and you just simply don't know where is it stemming from, and you just want to explore yourself, or you just don't know where to start, you just don't have a reason why you are behaving this way or the other way, maybe you want to come and have a chat with us, you are most welcome. All right. I think that's all for my sharing tonight, and I will send the link for the score run by later after this presentation is over. And I wish all the best to everyone, and thank you for spending the evening with the Lighthouse team. All right. Okay. Thank you. And I'm going to sign off now.